You've seen it happen. A bass explodes on a chatterbait from 10 feet away, slamming it before the lure even gets close to the cover. What is the secret isn't the blade's flash or the skirt's wiggle, but the exact low frequency vibration that bass feel through their lateral line before they even see the bait. I'm Travis from Green Valley Anglers. With 30 years chasing these green fish from muddy farm ponds to crystal clear highland reservoirs, I've dedicated my life to learning everything I can about bass fishing. I've watched the chatterbait turn slow days into limits more times than I can count. And today, we're breaking down the science behind why this bladed jig is so deadly. The lateral line research that explains its vibration advantage, exactly when and where it shines, and the simple tweaks that turn short strikes into solid hook sets. By the end, you'll know how to make bass react on pure instinct. Let's make that blade your secret weapon. What makes the chatterbait different? The blade plus vibration basics. A chatterbait is a bladed jig, basically a skirted jig with a flat hex-shaped blade on the front that creates an intense side-to-side action and thumping vibration the moment it moves. Unlike a spinnerbait that spins in a tight circle or a crankbait that wobbles, the chatterbait's blade displaces a huge amount of water with every pulse, sending out low-frequency pressure waves that bass detect instantly. This isn't just marketing talk, it's backed by the bass's lateral line system, a sensory organ that runs down their sides and detects water movement and vibration. Studies on fish's sensory systems show bass are highly tuned to low-frequency disturbances in the 10 to 200 hertz range, the exact range the chatterbait blade produces when it chatters and shimmies. I remember my first serious chatterbait day on a stained reservoir. Wind was blowing, grass was thick, and the bass were stacked in the pockets. I burned a half-ounce chatterbait over the grass line and watched 3 bass explode from cover before the lure even got within 5 feet. That day, I limited it under 2 hours while my buddy was struggling with silent plastic. It's a desire we all chase. More reaction strikes and bigger fish in the boat. Miss this vibration factor, though, and you're relying only on sight in conditions where bass can't always see your lure. You're leaving bites on the table. But master it, and suddenly bass can hit harder and faster because you're hitting their lateral line before their eyes even register the bait. Lateral line science, why vibration wins. So the blade creates massive vibration. But what does the science actually say about how bass detect it? Let's look at the research on the lateral line and why chatterbaits trigger those instinctual reaction strikes. Bass have 2 main ways to sense their world: vision and their lateral line, a hair cell-based sensory system that detects water motion, pressure changes, and vibrations. Research on the frequency response of the lateral line, including work by university scientists and others on black bass, shows that bass are most sensitive to low-frequency vibrations in the 10 to 200 hertz range, the exact thumping and pulsing the chatterbait blade creates with every retrieve. In murky or low-light conditions, the lateral line becomes the dominant sense. Studies confirm that when vision is limited, bass rely on these vibrations to locate, strike prey, and often from several feet away. The chatterbait's blade displaces a huge volume of water with a side-to-side shimmy, creating a particle acceleration the lateral line picks up instantly, long before the fish can see that skirt or trailer. A practical breakdown from fishing science. The blade's rapid oscillation mimics the struggling movements of a wounded baitfish or crawfish, triggering an instinctive reaction strike even when the bass isn't actively feeding. My breakthrough moment came on a windy stained flat. Bass are ignoring everything until I switched to a chatterbait. The low-frequency pulse cut through the chop and pulled fish from 15 plus feet away, it felt like. That day, I realized vibration isn't just an add-on, it's the primary trigger in tough conditions. 3 science-backed reasons the chatterbait excels. 1, it produces the exact low-frequency range bass lateral lines are tuned for. 2, the blade keeps the hook riding up, letting you blast through grass without snagging. And 3, the combined blade-skirt trailer action creates multiple vibration sources that confuse and excite bass into striking. When and where chatterbaits dominate. We know the science, but when does the chatterbait absolutely shine on the water? Let's get hyper-specific on conditions, seasons, and the spots where this lure turns average days into limits. The chatterbait is a reaction bait that excels whenever a bass relying more on vibration than sight. For spring, think pre-spawn to post-spawn. Burn it over emerging grass beds and shallow flats in the 2 to 8 foot range. Bass are aggressive in staging your cover. The blade mows through vegetation while sending out pulses that pull fish from the edges. In summertime, target windblown points, grass lines, and main lake humps in 8 to 20 feet. The vibration cuts through the stained water and thermocline layers where bass suspend. In fall, chase shad schools on wind-blown banks and creek mouths in 4 to 12 feet. The low-frequency thump mimics fleeing bait and triggers explosive strikes. In wintertime, slow roll on deep ledges and brush piles in 15 to 30 feet. The subtle pulse draws lethargic bass without requiring a fast retrieve. 3 conditions where it dominates. 1. Stained or murky water where vision is limited. 2. Heavy cover like grass, pads, or laydowns. The blade keeps the hook riding up. And 3. Windy days when surface chop masks other lures but amplifies the chatterbait's vibration. I've used it to crush on tidal rivers, casting parallel to riprap and letting the current swing the blade into the eddies. Bass would hammer it before the lure even settled. That vibration advantage turned pressured fish into easy bites. Your chatterbait system plus pitfalls. Now we have the science and the spots. Let's build a simple system so you never miss that bite again. Let's build a 3-rod chatterbait arsenal. 1. A 3/8 ounce for shallow grass on windblown banks, and another ½ ounce for mid-depth ledges and points, and 1 3/4 ounce for deep structure and current. For trailers, match the hatch. Use some craws for spring and summer, and shad profiles for fall. Add scent if the water is clear and pressured. You can also control depth with the size of the trailer. The bulkier, the higher the bait will run. For your retrieve, burn it fast over grass for reaction strikes. Slow roll it on the bottom for subtle pulses and craw mimics, or yo-yo it on points like a lipless crankbait. Here's some common pitfalls to avoid. 1. Using it too fast in cold water. Bass need time to feel the vibration. 2. Pairing it with a trailer that kills the blade action. A paddle tail swim bait, for instance. Keep trailer tails thin and lively. 3. Ignoring wind direction. Always fish into or across wind so the chop amplifies the thump. My pond to lake journey taught me this the hard way. Early on, I'd throw it too slow or with the wrong trailer and get ignored. Once I matched the science to the condition, my catch rates climbed steadily. That desire for more explosive strikes and consistent limits, it explodes when you give the bass the exact vibration signature they're wired to attack. More reaction bites, fewer short strikes, and bigger fish in the boat. Here's your recap. The chatterbait's blade creates the exact low-frequency vibrations bass lateral lines are tuned for, making it a reaction machine in stained water, grass, and wind. Use it in the right spots and seasons, avoid the common mistakes, and watch your hookup ratio soar. Drop your best chatterbait story below. I love to read those. Subscribe to Green Valley Anglers for more science-backed bass tips. Hit the bell. Share if it sharpened your game. Let's keep filling these live wells. I appreciate you. Tight lines, and I'll catch you on the next one.